Hey, welcome back to Dogtography. Today we're going to start a new 4-part series all about how to become a professional dog photographer. If you're interested in knowing what the profession's like, how to get into it, what education I recommend, and the resources, then you're going to want to tune into all 4 episodes. Today we are going to focus particularly on what is the job like and how to know if it's something that might work for you. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Andrea Fleury and welcome to Dogtography. My channel is all about how to take better images of your dog and how to create some really super fun memories. I walk you through different tips and tutorials and techniques. I sometimes show you behind the scenes of my professional career as a dog photographer, all while just trying to have some fun and enjoy time with our dogs. So I get asked all the time, what's it like being a dog photographer? Is it an actual career? Can you actually make money with taking pictures of dogs? And do you do it full time? Can you survive off the income of it? So I wanted to kind of dig into that in this episode today because it's something that I came into, kind of by surprise. I wasn't always aspiring to be a dog photographer. I wasn't in the pet industry working with dogs as a trainer or anything like that. I quite honestly wanted to be a photographer my entire life and just never thought that I was smart enough to learn how to properly use a real camera. And that really intimidated me, and I actually pushed it away for quite a bit of my life. When I decided I wanted to embrace my passion for photography, I remember my mentor. So I had a friend that was a photographer and that I'd worked with before, and she asked me, well, what do you want to take pictures of? And I didn't know. I had no idea. I was a new mom, so I had kids. So I'm like, well, do I want to take pictures of my kids? What do I want to take pictures of? So just for fun, I got out my phone. I'm like, well, what do I take pictures of? And I remember scrolling through my camera reel and going, man, I take a lot of pictures of my cats, and I've always loved animals. So I'm like, wait a minute, is pet photography a thing? Is that an actual genre? Because I knew that shooting weddings and kids' birthday parties was not for me. So I just pulled up Google and started searching pet photography. And sure enough, up came all kinds of resources. And thankfully for me, they were easily accessible. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 2 little kids. I couldn't go back to school and retrain for a new career. So I taught myself. COVID hit at this time, and it wasn't like I could really go out and do much anyway. So I dedicated my night times, and while I was cooking food for kids and stuff, I'd put in my headphones and listen to my courses. So that's kind of how I got into it and how it started. But what's a day in the life like of a dog photographer? So for me, I do dog photography full time. It is my career now. My kids are in school, so I do this as a full-time job. Do I make full-time income with it? Yes, I do. So what a day in the life kind of looks like for me, I am an outdoor only dog photographer. I prefer to photograph out in nature, and I prefer to go to beaches and places where nature really shines and I can make the dog look incredible on a natural background. That's what I prefer doing and what I prefer shooting. So because of that, I can only really work during certain times of the day. So you have to ask yourself, when do I want to work? If you can only work during the day, say when your kids are at school, or if you're trying to work around another job or something, then daytime is not great for working in the outdoors. So for me, the sun kind of dictates my schedule, and it is changing all year long. So if I want to do a sunset at a beach, that's going to look different in the winter versus in the summer. So flexibility, I think, is key in terms of timing and when you want to do it. If you love studio imagery, say something that is using artificial lights and a background indoors, then that completely changes everything. You can then work any time of the day, any season of the year, and not have to worry about all those changing variables. The other thing that studio photographers get that I don't have is changes in weather. So rain or shine, sun, snow, you can still work in a studio. So there's tons of advantages to that. I just don't prefer studio work, so I like and prefer to work outdoors. The other thing that I do a lot of when I'm not shooting, because that is a very small component of what I do, is I am doing client consultations. So I prefer to meet with my clients ahead of time. I have a whole process of how I meet and greet with them. I get to meet and spend time with their dog, develop that rapport and that relationship. So I'm doing consultations. I'm at home editing. I edit all my work currently still. I do all of my edits myself. So I'm spending a lot of time doing that. And then I'm going back to my client and doing their sales presentation. I get to present all of their work to them. We get to pick out what artwork they want, what albums they want. Those are the products I choose to sell. I am not a shoot and burn photographer, by the way, so I'm not just taking digitals and giving them away. I prefer to make physical, tangible things that people can have and hold forever. That's the way I choose to do my business. So we do that in the sales session. And then therefore, when I come home, I have albums to create, wall art to make, and I order it all, and then I get it in, and then I have to go back and we do the wall art installation. So there's a lot of moving pieces in being a dog photographer. It's not just working with puppies and getting to take cute photos. There's a big business component behind what makes it a viable full-time job. And it's just kind of got to be one of those things like, does it work into your lifestyle with you and your family? Another thing to consider is traveling. Do you have the ability to travel? What size of an area do you want to work with? Do you want clients that live an hour away, 2 hours away, 3 hours away? How far are you willing to go? If you want to shoot outdoors, how far are you willing to travel? How far are your clients willing to travel? Like if you live in an area where you have some amazing picturesque landscapes, but you have to travel to get there, like is that something you're willing to do? For me, I'm willing to travel, I'd say like up to 2 hours for a regular client job without like expecting to charge, you know, an extra travel fee or like booking in a whole day for a shoot. So just a regular client shoot for me to get to a beach from where I live takes an hour and a half. And that's something that I'm down with because I want the kind of imagery that a beach is going to get me. So that's something really to factor in too, is do you have the ability to travel and how far are you willing to travel? The other thing to consider is who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with just dogs? Do you want to work with cats and dogs? Do you want to do small animals, any pet, like spiders, snakes, tarantulas, whatever? Like what do you want to do? What kind of lights that fire inside for you? When you're looking at your images or you're looking on Instagram and looking at other people's images, is there a part of you that's like, yeah, that's what I want to create. Look at that. Like, that's amazing. I wish I could do that. What's the subject matter like? And that will also really help to kind of dictate where you're going to take photos of. Because if you want to just do photos of cats, there's not a lot of cats that are able to go outdoors and be photographed. So you might be kind of looking at shooting them either in their own homes and therefore having to work in other people's environments, or you're having a studio and you're doing it with studio stuff. If you're wanting to take images of like spiders, maybe you're looking at macro photography. Like it really depends on what you want to photograph to kind of help like shape what your career essentially would look like as that genre of pet photographer. So the other thing to consider is, what is your why? Now that's kind of like a term that's used a lot right now. It's like, find your why. What's your why? Do I even really have like a clear defined like why? I'm going to say no. Like I've always loved animals, and my like slogan on my business is the art of dog. I love the beauty of dogs. Like I didn't grow up with dogs. Asher is my first dog. I don't have a ton of experience with dogs. Like I wouldn't have even prior to more recent years considered myself a dog person, only because I didn't grow up with them. I always grew up with cats, but I appreciate the beauty in them. I believe all dogs are gorgeous and beautiful, and I want to try and put them in an environment that makes them stand out, that makes them shine. I love seeing dogs in nature and in, you know, environments that they were maybe naturally in at one point in time. I think a beautiful sunset kind of happening and unfolding supports the natural beauty of that animal. And I'm very, very, very passionate about creating big pieces of artwork because I want our pets to be able to live forever in big, giant life-size pieces of art. That's just kind of like what lights me up and turns me on, so to speak. And I think that that passion is what led me to wanting to photograph dogs. I do cats as well, but they're more limited. I can't really take them to the beach. I can't take them to the places where I want to also be in and want to show in my imagery. So yes, I will do cats, but it's not my main focus, which is why I decided to call my business Dogtography, for the art of dog, because that's what I wanted to work with. So that's something that I think that you need to consider too, is your why. Now, part of what lends to my why as well, I guess, it's not my whole reason, but I lost my soul cat 12 years ago now. And all I have left of him is literally digital photos floating on an Apple cloud that I never get to see. I never get to see him, appreciate him, remember him, because I didn't take the time to really like print any of that work out. I don't have it in frames in my home, and that kind of makes me sad. So I want to take that and to use that as a motivator for, you know, when I present to clients, I'm definitely speaking about one day, all they will have left is photos and videos of their pet. And getting their pet professionally photographed is an experience. It's a really fun experience that they get to enjoy with their pet. And then they have these beautiful images that they can have and remember forever. And then finally, I think the last thing that you have to ask yourself is to get into a career like this. You are going to have to work for free for a while. It is 100% something that I recommend and most photographers have done, and I still do years into it. Because if you want to grow and learn and try things out and get to the point where you actually feel confident that your work is worth charging money for, you're going to have to get out there and approach people and say, you have a beautiful dog, do you mind if I photograph him? Can we set up a shoot? Can we do a time? Can we whatever? I can't tell you how many photo shoots I've done for free. And it's all like, it's an amazing experience because the person is getting, you know, imagery that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and you're getting to gain all of the experience and the knowledge and the practice and everything that you need to be that confident professional that you aspire to be. So are you willing to work for free? Everyone I think that gets into this craft has to do it to some extent, and it's something that, you know, you just have to ask yourself if you're willing to do and have the time for. So that's it. I hope that was helpful. I hope that kind of gave you a bit of insight into what it's like being a dog photographer, all the kind of different areas of things that I do and that I work on in my business, from the photo shoots to editing to like communicating with clients, doing sales presentations, and then ordering artwork and albums kind of at the end. It's like a whole full circle process. It is my full-time job. I absolutely love it. I do finally feel like I found the thing that I'm meant to do, and it really touches me and inspires me, and I love it. And I appreciate all of the clients that I've been able to work with, and I think that it's amazing, but it works for me. So you have to ask yourself the questions that we went over today to see if it's something that works for you and fits into your lifestyle and with your family. And if it does, you're gonna really be interested in video number 2, because we're gonna be talking a lot more about what kind of work you might wanna do and some of my resources to help get you to learning more about it. So I hope to see you again next time, and until next Saturday, go out and take some pictures with your dog and make some memories. Enjoy. See you next week. Bye for now.